Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Re, and the universe seems to think that I am its her strongest soldier when I am in fact just a girl. Okay, yes, I am wearing a different shirt from the thumbnail, and that is because I had already recorded this entire thing, and then it turned out my mic didn't have any battery, so I practically cannot hear anything. When I went to edit the video, I found out that the sound was practically gone, so I had to um, deal with that. And since I had already posed for the thumbnail, I decided to just keep that shot for the thumbnail so I can have that done and then do this. But and also I was very sick this entire week. Today is Sunday night, which and I've been sick since Wednesday. So in terms of writing, there's not much of an update. I finished chapter 14 and I am almost at 28,000 words, so I'm like 2,000 words away from reaching my goal. And I am currently in like the middle of the resolution, or some people call it the third act. So I think I am gonna go a little bit over 30, but I'm not sure. Probably maybe just like a 34, 33. Maybe. I'm still not sure, but anyway, this video. For this video, I had planned to just talk about my whip, about my project, about Project Prophecy, and to just have like some voice over B-roll. I was sick and I was very busy 2 weeks ago, so I don't have that much B-roll, but I will be putting it in because I already have it. I might as well use it. But probably for more than half of the video, you're just gonna be seeing my pretty face talk about my project. I wrote down a few questions. I think there's just six of them that I think are very interesting, and I think they are just like good questions to start to get to know uh, this project, so you guys can have a little bit more of an idea as to why I picked it, or not exactly what it is about, but some important elements that I considered important anyway. But if you guys have any more questions, or if you want to know anything else about my project, or anything else that I've talked about on previous blogs or these ones, you are more than welcome to leave your questions down in the comments, and I will be answering them in a future video, because I kind of like this, just like yapping, because you guys know I'm a yapper. So without further ado, let's head to the first question. So my very first question is, why did I chose this genre for my project? Why did I went with horror? And the answer to this one is just extremely simple. I love horror. I grew up watching a lot of horror movies and horror shows and reading just like the Goosebumps books and watching the TV show. And I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark when I was a child. And I was obsessed with urban legends for a while. So I've always been a creepy little girl at heart. And well, now I'm a woman, but it still stands. And I just wanted to add my little grain of salt to the pile of what like wonderful genre horror is. I personally really love slasher films. The Friday the 13th are my favorite slasher films just because they are very campy and they are very um some of them are very bad, but I love them regardless. I love Friday the 13th. I love the Scream saga. I love all of these slasher movies, and I love like horror and paranormal stuff. Like as a whole, I'm just fascinated by it, and I've been since I was a kid. So I just wanted to add something to that genre. Question number two is why did I choose a novella speaking in terms of length? So the truth is, I simply didn't think that this idea had enough plot or enough time for me to get into B or C plot uh, to reach the length that will, like the word length that will technically required for it to be a novel. So that's why I simply told myself I'm okay with it being a novella as long as I get like my main point across, I get my main story across, I have these characters uh finish finishing this story and I take the characters from point A to point B. I'm fine with it not being a big book. I'm fine with it just being a novella, and that's pretty much it. I have I have a few ideas that I do think are going to be reaching that length, but for this one, I just didn't think I had enough meat in the bones of the plot for it to be that big, and I didn't want to like risk messing with the pace by adding unnecessary B or C plots if I didn't have enough ideas or enough material to actually make it mean something. I like, and I've done this before in mostly fan fiction, where I have a main plot, but I have subplots as well. And I do like to intertwine those subplots sometimes to the main story, but I like to like have a clear beginning and ending of them. And for this story, it just seemed like I was just gonna be doing filler in a way, and I didn't want that. I just really because I didn't want to pull a Stephen King. And listen, he's one of my favorite writers, but let's be honest, it could have been cut around 3/4 of the book, and you would have caught in the point across. And I just didn't want that. I didn't want this to be a huge book with stuff that just didn't make sense, and the in the end will just stall your experience as a reader. I didn't want that, so I was like, I'm okay with it being short, if it just means that it's actually good, you know. And next question is why did I pick this project to be my debut work, my debut book? So the thing is, I have other projects that are even more developed than this one, or that have a proper outline, or that I just really wanted to write. But I am known for starting and then just not finishing a project. And I think that Project Prophecy, I am still trying to just ride the wave of how excited I am for it. Uh, and I'm trying to stay in that wave until I'm done with the project. And also the fact that I am already speaking publicly about it in this blog or in my Discord servers, I am in a way forcing myself to stick with it, and I picked it as the one project that I would pick, that I would stay with, just because I was getting frustrated with myself and how much I will do this of picking up and leaving projects behind and then just starting new projects. Especially when I was like seeing my statistics on hour three on how much I had written all of 2022, 2023, 2024, and this year hasn't been good for fanfiction, but the previous 3 years were excellent on fanfiction. I wrote nearly 1 million words on fanfiction, and I was like, if I can put this much energy, time, and talent into fan fiction, I should be able to make myself finish an original work. And around that same time that I was seeing that, I came up with this idea. And I told myself that if I start working on this idea, I am not going to put it down until I'm done. So I've been slowly chirping at it for almost a year now. And I, first of all, am proud of myself that I'm still here, because this is the second time that I tell myself I'm gonna finish something and publish it. The first time was an erotica novel that I have almost 15,000 words. And the reason that I didn't end up finishing that one was also going to be a novella, but I ended up I want to rework some stuff. I want to add some plot and some character development from the beginning and not just jump straight to just um, sexually explicit content, just straight to the smut. So that's why I pressed pause on that one, because I want to develop a little bit better, but I haven't given myself time to do that yet. But I, as of today, shared a snippet with some writer friends. They seemed to really like it, and I am excited about the project again. So who knows? Maybe I will work on it sooner than I had expected. How was the idea for this project born? So I like binge watching movies within like a genre or a subgenre sometimes. Like, for example, a couple of years ago for my birthday, what I did was I watched, because my birthday fell on a weekend, I watched the entirety of the Scream saga for my birthday. And I will sometimes just like sit down and watch the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, or sometimes I will just watch musicals for an entire day. And for in this occasion, I was watching the Omen movies. I don't right now. I don't remember how many there are, but this one was a prequel. And I was just like watching a bunch of religious horror movies, and I suddenly was like, why is it always done like this? Why isn't it done like slightly different? So I was thinking like, well, maybe I can do it. Like I can like these things that I was like, it's always done like this, and I understand it because within this genre you sort of expect things to go a certain way, and I just wanted to give it a little twist, just to see. I don't know. I don't actually know if there are books done like this before. I hope that if they are also good, and I hope mine will have a rightful place along them. But that was one part of it. Another part of it was that I was reading, and this is when the thumbnail will make sense. Reading Hell Follow With Us by Andrew Joseph White. This baby. And I was blown away. I was completely blown away because it's, first of all, amazingly written. If you are a fan of horror, religious horror, and body horror, this is the book for you. I devoured this book, and I actually really want to read it again because I want to annotate it. Didn't take time to annotate it the first time that I read it, but I really want to annotate it. And I was reading that book, and I know that this, for the author, for Mr. Andrew Joseph White, was a way for him to work through some of his own religious trauma. And I was like, I also want to work through my own religious trauma. So I am from Mexico, I am Mexican, and that means that I am from one of the countries that are like extreme Catholic. And I've had some very not good experiences when it comes to the church. So I just really wanted to work through some stuff um, that way. And this book really showed me that I could. And again, I'm not comparing myself to it. I don't think it's gonna be even like close to what came with us is. Hate follow with us. I'm sorry. Is, but it is one of the things that inspired me, and in the end pushed me to actually work on this idea. So it was a combination of me watching religious horror movies and reading religious horror book. Just the one. I need to read more because I need to come up with comp books. But Hell Follow with Us is one of the reasons that I finally allowed myself to work on this project. Has this idea stayed the same? The answer is a simple answer is no. A little bit more A simple answer is no. A little bit more complicated answer is the main character was flat when I first came up with the idea. She was like a representation of something that I wanted to happen on the book, but she didn't really have much of a backstory, and she didn't really have much of motivation for her actions. And that changed the moment that I started writing it. It was like something took possession of me, like Gracie herself came and told me, no, this is my story and this is how you're gonna tell it. And I started writing, and I started working with this concept of abuse within the church, abuse on that happens on the orphanages run by nuns and the church, which here in Mexico, 90% of the orphanage are run by nuns. And I just all of these things started to come to me, and she ended up being this very interesting character that has come from abuse almost her entire life, and she has overcome that abuse, and she has chosen to stay within the environment that abused her because she is going to protect future generations from the same abuse that she suffered. And she pretty much is a pain in the ass of of the Catholic Church, the entire book, and she knows that. She is so rebellious. She is honestly, I think that if this was a real life nun, she would have gotten kicked out of the convent. But this is my fictional world, and she can be a rebel if she wants to. Um, but yeah, she ended up with a backstory of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of, as a mentioned, and foul fallout from that abuse. But in the end, it is what made her chose to stick to these children and to be the person between them and the people in power that are abusing that power. And that's one of the reasons she ends up making a lot of the decisions that she makes, and that she ends up sort of playing a little bit in the side of hell, but for the not for the greater good, but for the good of these children. Am I expecting readers to take from the book? Honestly, I mostly want people to have a good time while they read it. There's not a huge message in this book, and I understand that. There's not like this is not going to change lives, and I don't expect it to change lives. I simply want people to read it and see that you don't need to be a part of a group or an organization that's telling itself that it's doing something for the greater good or something for like the betterment of the world, when in reality they're just doing horrible, horrible things. All that you need to do to be good and do good is be kind and uh, give a little bit of yourself to others. Not a lot, not all of you, but a little bit. And that's all. That's literally that's all that Gracie stands for. She is someone good that just wants to do better than what it was done to her. And that's literally all that I want people to take away from this book, that you can do better than what's done to you, and that sometimes makes a change in like the next generation or whoever you are like helping out. And that's pretty much it. But also like just have a good time reading it, because I gotta say I just wrote a scene about Gracie um killing someone, and that was very satisfying. I really love that scene. I'm not gonna lie, I really love that. For my last question is, am I bringing anything from my real life into this book? And I actually am. I did. uh there's a part on the opening page on the prologue that talks about Gracie's life before the orphanage, and it talks about her living down the street from an orphanage. And I personally grew up down the street from an orphanage. That's where I went to like Sunday school, and where I made my first no I no I did not make my first communion there, but I did assist like the classes to make my first communion there. And I went to like summer school and things like summer, like not exactly school, but like summer church school in a way. There growing up, and so that one fun fact, it is part of my real life. It was part of my real life, and that is obviously my local orphanage. And also, the names of all of my grandparents are in one way or another in this book. Um, I didn't change them, not really, but I adapted them to like American versions of them, even though the story is set in Mexico. But anyway, all four of my grandparents make an appearance on this book. But also, fun fact, they are not all good, because I don't have a good relationship with all of my grandparents. My maternal grandparents are dead. May they rest in peace. And I really love them, and they are kind of like the good guys. And my paternal grandparents are a pain in my ass most of the time, so they are the not so good guys. So yeah, they are all featured here, and they will never know, because again, one half is dead, the other half I don't talk to, and they will never find out about this book, hopefully. But yeah, it's just like my personal touch. And those are all of the questions that I wrote, that I came up with. But again, if you guys have any more questions, you can leave it on a comment down below. For this week, I'm sorry again that this blog is a week late, but it's here. I made it. And next blog is probably going to be the following week, because I am starting to record my idea for next blog tomorrow, and it's gonna be like the next 2 weeks, so you will get two blogs 1 week apart. So I guess that's something, just trying to get back on schedule. But anyway, for this week, that is all, and thank you so much for being here, for sticking around this long, and I hope you have a very lovely week and weekend. Okay, bye.